Hello, this is part 5 of the MEANJS tutorial. So in our last video we wrote some unit tests for our routes, and now we're going to try to make those tests pass one by one. So first off, here we have the server controller that we generated earlier, and first we're going to need to import a couple more things than what was originally given. So we're going to need our Pathfinder. We're going to need to get our host model. Let's make that capital. And here I have something copied already because it's pretty long. So this is a controller that was created with the generator. It's part of the core module, and it just helps us output errors when we need to. So let's just fill in these comments here. First we're going to work on the create method. So what we're going to need to do first is create our post. We're going to use the request body to initialize some of the parameters. And what we also need to do is fill in the author field. And we can get that using the request.user. So it may not be clear where this user field comes from, but there's a session library part of this package that will intercept every HTTP request and populate this user field with the user ID that sent the request if they're logged in. If you come from a PHP background, then it's similar to the way the session variables work. So anyway, after we set the author, we're just going to save the post. And we'll do some error checking. So if there was an error, we're going to just return where's that status 400 .send. We're going to return a message. We're going to get the appropriate error message using the error handling library that was given to us. Otherwise, we'll just return the created post as a JSON object. And no semicolon there. That was a mistake. So now, let's just write the one route to handle creating posts. So there's not much given to us in the route file that we generated. First we need to get our controller that we just created. So up one level to controllers and call it form server controller, just like that. And now to write our first route, we just go app.route. We want to be called API/posts. And first we're going to write the post route to create our post. And it might be confusing because of the way we named everything, but this post is the HTTP post, and these are our forum posts, our forum controller. So we just call the post.create method to handle every post, and that should be it for our route. So there's not much to write for the route, since most of the logic is handled in the controller. Now we can try to run our tests, and it's probably going to fail because of the way we wrote the test. There are some errors that we'll go over after we run this. So of course the delete and the get tests will fail, but first we want to just try to make the create post test succeed. Okay, so let's go back to our test. So of course we didn't implement the get route yet. So this is actually an error in our test writing. We shouldn't be relying on the get when we want to just test the post alone. So instead, we'll just use the find function here to query all the posts. And posts. And same error checking here. Done. And if that passed, then we should have something in the first index of our post array that we got back. And this was also another error I noticed. Here we wrote user when we meant author, and that would have also stopped our test from passing. So you have to be careful about naming, and this will just give us the Mongo object ID. So we compare that to the user ID. We're going to need to convert it to a string. And we can just test the title should match. And don't forget to done. So let's try to run our test again. So you should be very careful when running your tests. You may have noticed that the tests use almost what seems to be plain English in the syntax to help simplify the logic. So your test will be very simple to understand and read. So our test did indeed pass. Back to our controller and complete the list method, which will just return a list of our posts. And we'll be using the same find function. Except we're also going to use this populate function to automatically fill out the author field with the user display name instead of just the ID. So if there's an error, then we will return error 400 and use the error handling get message function. Otherwise, we'll just return a JSON object of our posts. So the route for that will just be get, and we use the list function that we just created. Let's see if our test will pass with just that. And it went by fast, but I believe it did pass. So we just need one more to delete. So we're going to delete a post, and the delete function here will be pretty simple. We're just going to use this remove function and handle the error like we did before. Otherwise, we're just going to return the post. And this delete function is actually a bit special because we need what's going to be called the post middleware. And since we're a bit pressed for time, I fast forwarded through the typing. And here for our post middleware, we just have this method that will find a post by its ID for us. And you can see we have the standard error checking, make sure the ID is valid, and it will give us the given post as the post field on the request. Let's finish up our route here. This one requires a post ID, and we're doing the delete, and now we need to bind our parameter to our middleware function that we created. See, this just matches with that parameter in the URL. And looks like we'll have to check out our test and finish this section up in the next video. So I'll see you in part 5.